A fiery tirade against a political figure has ignited a storm of outrage. The furious outburst from a well-known personality left no stone unturned, branding the opponent as a national disaster and a disgrace to the country. Robert De Niro, not mincing words, unleashed criticism on Donald Trump, accusing him of ignorance, irresponsibility, and disregard for social norms. The actor, known for his directness, did not hold back on insults, calling the politician a crook, a pig, and an idiot. According to De Niro, the situation in the country is deteriorating, and he is disappointed that Trump turned out to be worse than he could have imagined. In various interviews, public appearances, and even at award ceremonies, the famous actor does not hide his attitude toward a certain political figure. This causes widespread resonance, especially when it comes to figures like Donald Trump. Such criticism is not limited to personal attacks but touches on deeper aspects of the politician's personality and leadership style. It is not often that one sees such a respected actor speaking out openly about politics, but he does not intend to remain silent when he feels something is wrong. The actor wonders if the politician is pretending to be less intelligent than he is to mislead people. He expresses bewilderment that many people believe he cares about their interests. This misunderstanding, according to the actor, has haunted him for decades. He considers this phenomenon malignant. Specialists in the fields of psychology and psychiatry often use various terms to describe certain conditions and behavioral patterns. In the context of political life, some experts do not hesitate to apply these terms to leaders whose actions cause concern. Thus, the well-known analyst De Niro, not mincing words, called Trump a narcissist, emphasizing that his decisions and actions are dictated by selfish motives, not concern for the American people. This criticism goes beyond ordinary political debates and touches on deep questions about the moral qualities of a leader. De Niro is convinced that Trump's election was a serious mistake for America, threatening democratic values. Particularly harsh is the comparison of Trump's methods with the actions of a gangster, a person who disregards the law and seeks personal gain at any cost. This comparison makes one wonder how far a leader can go in the pursuit of power and control. There is serious concern about the possible outcome of the next election. There is a fear that if re-elected, Donald Trump may refuse to hand over power, undermining the fundamental principles of democracy. The very fact that such a scenario is being discussed is alarming and makes one think about the future of political stability in the country. The comparison of the Trump family to a gangster family reflects the perception of certain methods and approaches to governance. It is noted that Trump's behavior and actions sometimes resemble the style of gangsters, although even in the criminal world there are unwritten rules and codes of honor. Violation of these rules, failure to keep promises, and unfair treatment of people in any field of activity, including politics, inevitably lead to condemnation and isolation. This course of action raises serious concerns and poses a real threat to the country. Such concerns are expressed repeatedly, emphasizing that this is not just a subjective opinion, but a growing problem that could have far-reaching consequences for the future of the country. The controversy surrounding the person of Donald Trump continues to stir up public opinion, causing fierce disputes and certainly a considerable amount of criticism. However, despite this, there are those who do not intend to back down, seeking to draw attention to what they believe is a serious threat. Robert De Niro, in particular, calls on Americans to more carefully evaluate the decisions made by the country's political leadership. De Niro does not limit himself to criticizing Trump's political line, he turns to an analysis of his personality. According to De Niro, Trump is a narcissist whose actions are dictated solely by egocentric motives. He argues that Trump's need for constant attention and praise determines his every decision, pushing the interests of ordinary Americans into the background. This is not just an insult, but an expression of deep concern that a leader driven by his own ego is unable to sincerely serve the people. Such statements provoke a mixed reaction in society. Some see them as a manifestation of civic courage and a pursuit of truth, others as just another attempt to discredit a political opponent. Nevertheless, it is important to note that De Niro's statements make one think about how much the personal qualities of a leader can influence the decisions he makes and, consequently, the fate of the country. Accusations of betrayal and perjury are leveled against two individuals standing behind the speaker. These individuals, labeled as traitors, are deemed accountable for their actions. It's asserted that they had alternative courses of action available and their actions may have been coordinated with others. Despite this, it's noted that these individuals fought for others, possibly implying defense against a threat. They are hailed as true heroes, and the speaker expresses honor in standing alongside them, citing former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn and former Metropolitan Police Officer Michael Fanone as examples. In the context of these accusations, the term narcissist is invoked to characterize Donald Trump. It's alleged that Trump prioritizes personal victories over national interests. This evokes not just disappointment but apprehension, as the speaker believes the emergence of figures like Trump could have negative repercussions. Many voices express concern about Trump's policies, and Speaker's name is no exception. He questions the sincerity of Trump's claims of caring for the American people. Speaker's name posits that Trump's political moves are not aimed at the common good but at strengthening loyalty and support among select individuals, often those closely tied to his business or political interests. As an example, Speaker's name cites tax cuts and deregulation, which, while presented as measures to support Americans, primarily benefited large corporations and wealthy citizens. For Speaker's name, the core question is authenticity of intentions. He believes that Trump's rhetoric is aimed at manipulating emotions rather than making genuine, sound decisions. This critical view touches on the essence of Trump's interaction with his supporters. Speaker's name expresses doubt about the sincerity of this connection and disappointment that many, in his opinion, do not see the true picture. When asked if democracy is under threat in the upcoming election, Speaker's name answers affirmatively, emphasizing that democracy is a value that must be cherished. Democracy, unfortunately, is often taken for granted. It's a word whose meaning escapes many, becoming commonplace and familiar. However, it concerns fundamental notions of good and evil, principles that define our lives. The actions of a certain individual go beyond accepted norms, bordering on monstrous. There's a sense that he deliberately commits terrible acts to provoke a reaction from society. The motives for such behavior remain unclear, but the repeated actions are alarming. A bold definition, not without foundation, is gangster. This is how Robert, Speaker's name, characterizes this individual, emphasizing his desire to hold onto power by any means, like a true criminal. The tactics, including intimidation, manipulation, and the promotion of personal loyalty, evoke associations with lawlessness. In Speaker's name's opinion, such an approach has nothing to do with true leadership but is a manifestation of total control. For a person who values justice and democracy, such behavior is unacceptable, and he does not intend to retract his assessment. Robert, Speaker's name, expresses deep concern that touches on the very foundations of American democracy. Concern about the peaceful transfer of power in a democratic society raises questions about Donald Trump's willingness to relinquish control if it entails a loss of power. In Speaker's name's view, this is not simply a difficulty but a direct threat to the system that ensures stability and fairness in governance. The peaceful transfer of power is not only an established tradition but also a guarantee of the viability of democracy. Speaker's name expresses fears that Trump's refusal to concede defeat could undermine the foundations of the system, turning what Americans take for granted into a source of chaos and division. Arnold Schwarzenegger, former Republican governor of California and a longtime supporter of political figure's name, emphasized the need to close the current chapter in American history. He expressed confidence that former President Trump would continue to divide society, offend, and find ways to be even more un-American, which would bring only anger and disappointment. His concerns are not without foundation. Analyzing Trump's presidential term, Speaker's name drew attention to his rhetoric and manner of behavior. He suggested that Trump's statements about the elections, in particular, sowing doubts about their honesty and challenging the results, were not just words but a well-thought-out strategy to retain power. Speaker's name did not limit himself to discussing Trump's possible unwillingness to leave office. He drew parallels between Trump's actions and the actions of authoritarian leaders in history. This comparison is undoubtedly bold, but Speaker's name sees a certain pattern in it: the desire to strengthen power, destroy institutions, and suppress dissent. He noted that many authoritarian figures begin with a similar plan of action, undermining trust in democratic procedures and presenting themselves as indispensable for the prosperity of their country. According to De Niro, such actions are not just warning signs, but cautions about the potential consequences of ignoring them. Leaders who put personal power above democratic principles often leave their people divided and weakened. Many see Trump's approach to power as a real threat to democratic principles. At the heart of Dow's argument is the clear idea that democracy is effective only with strict adherence to established rules. He repeatedly emphasized how important it is for leaders to respect systems that limit power, from fair elections to independent courts. For Dow, this is not just a political position but a matter of preserving the foundations that guarantee Americans their freedoms. Dow was one of those who openly criticized Trump even before he took office. Regarding the discussions about impeachment, he noted that he was closely following the hearings. Regardless of the outcome, which he believes is predetermined in the Senate, the impeachment procedure has important symbolic significance. It leaves a deep mark on Trump's presidency, which he certainly deserved. Therefore, going through this process is necessary. Now, using the opportunities provided, it is necessary to act decisively. Regardless of what strategies may be applied, it is important to stay ahead of events and overcome obstacles. Like the once famous Teflon Don, he prevailed in his field, but now he must face the consequences of his actions and bear the deserved punishment. Robert De Niro's words sound more like a call than a direct criticism. He seeks to draw attention to the seriousness of the situation when established norms are violated. It is not only about a specific person, but also about the principle that no one, regardless of their influence, should put themselves above the law. De Niro does not hide his disappointment in the impulsiveness of decisions made by Donald Trump. For De Niro, the problem lies not only in Trump's actions but also in the methods he uses. In particular, he criticizes Trump's habit of ignoring the advice of experts and advisors, making hasty decisions without proper analysis of the consequences. De Niro is convinced that governing a nation, especially such a powerful one, requires a balanced and thoughtful approach. In the United States of America, effective governance requires strategic planning and consideration of various points of view. However, according to experts, the leadership style demonstrated by Trump prioritizes operational actions at the expense of scrupulous discussion. An example of this is the abrupt exits from international agreements and sudden changes in domestic policy. Such steps, according to analysts, indicate recklessness. It is argued that a unilateral approach to decision-making limits opportunities for cooperation, which often leads to alienation of allies and deepening of internal divisions. Such a leadership style is seen not only as ineffective but also as potentially dangerous. Criticism is also directed at the desire for centralization of power. It is noted that there is a blurring of the lines between the executive branch and personal control, while traditional mechanisms of checks and balances are relegated to the background and the environment is formed from loyal individuals. Such trends indicate a transformation of the institution of the presidency towards a more authoritarian model. While at Spring Studios, a well-known actor expressed deep concern about current political events. He stressed that the denial of truth has become a widespread phenomenon and the subsequent statements of political figures seem completely illogical to him. Such a development is causing serious concern and the actor felt the need to speak out. The main concern, he said, lies in the potential ripple effect that what is happening could have on global politics. The United States, traditionally seen as a defender of democratic values, risks losing its moral authority, especially when its leader, according to the actor, consolidates power in ways that undermine democracy. This not only harms the country's reputation but could also serve as an example for other world leaders, creating a dangerous precedent. The actor also expressed concern that the unpredictability of the political course could become a source of instability both domestically and internationally. Decisions made impulsively, such as trade wars, sudden military actions, or withdrawal from international agreements, can have serious consequences, damaging not only the U.S. economy and security, but also the stability of allied countries. The actor emphasized his concern about the direction the country is heading, expressing serious apprehension that with such leaders, the nation could stray down the wrong path. In his view, this unpredictability makes it difficult for other countries to trust or have confidence in the United States. The leadership approach, which he described as erratic and self-centered, could destabilize international relations and weaken alliances that have been formed over decades. For the actor, this isn't just poor leadership but a dangerous game with consequences that may not be fully understood by many.